This video provides a quick overview of how to get started using the new work planning tools in Miradi Share. Note that these tools are currently only available to beta testers, so if you're not a beta tester, you won't see these new tools. And these tools are currently only available in program spaces, and you need to have a team plan in order to be working within a program space. We expect to release these more broadly in September of 2025. So navigate to the work planning section. You'll note that there's a new work plan hub page that brings together a lot of your work planning tools. The first thing you need to do in order to create work plan views and edit work plan data is to make sure you've set your project timeframe. Here you can see I've set it for January 2016 to December 2030. Also set your fiscal year for your organization so that your work plan views are aligned with your team's fiscal year. Work plan dates are optional. Click Save. If you have not yet created any work plan views, you'll have instructions in this panel that explain how to create a work plan view and then how to use that work plan view to edit assignments and expenses. Let's start by managing our work plan views. Note that this bumped you over to the project admin section, so only project editors, managers, and owners have the ability to create and edit work plan views. People with view-only access to your project will not be able to create and edit work plan views. So instructions again on the Work Planning Manager page. If you haven't yet created a work plan view, we'll get started by adding a work plan view. I'm going to give it a name, for example, 5-year annual budget forecast. Give it a description to provide more information for your team. Select the time level. You can create work plan views on a yearly timescale, a quarterly timescale, or a monthly timescale. We're going to use the yearly setting for now. And then I'm going to set the time frame for my work plan view for whatever time frame I want. So I'm going to start with January 2025 in this example and go out through 2030. So this is going to have work plan data for the period 2025 to 2030, and I would be working on a yearly timescale. You can choose whether to include data or strategies and actions from results chains only or both situation models and results chains. Most teams only develop work plans for strategies that have theories of change or results chains. I'm going to use that. And then the rest of these settings just define the default view for your work plan view. So when you open it, do you want your work plan view to be expanded to all rows, or do you want it to be collapsed to strategy? I'm going to start by opening it only to the strategy level. And then you can choose whether or not your work plan view opens first to assignments or first to expenses. I'm going to choose assignments. I'm then going to look through my options for including classifications that are included in my project. In this case, in this example project, we only have strategy classifications. So I'm going to choose the most up-to-date CMP conservation actions classification. Note that if you have custom classifications for any of these other factors that are included in a work plan view, you will have the option to select classifications associated with those factors as well. I'm going to click Save. Note that I now have my work plan view described here. You can make as many work plan views as you like. Note also, we're not going to go into this, but you can duplicate these work plan views to use them as a template to create new work plan views. You can also select as many of your work plan views as you want to and copy them to other projects within your program space. So you have consistent work planning views across all of the projects in your program space. To open the work plan view and start editing work plan data, I just click on the name of the work plan view. Note it bumped me back to the work planning section. So this is now visible to all people who have access to your project. Again, viewers will not be able to edit the assignment and expense data, but anyone with editing permissions in your project will be able to edit assignment and expense data. So you can see here the one work plan view that I now have visible is my 5-year annual budget forecast. I can find more information about how I set up the work plan view here, and I can see details about the work plan view. The time frame, January 1st to December 30th. That's also visible here, 2025 to 2030. And you can see that it only includes data from results chains. And I started with the expenses view. I can toggle to go see it, or I started with the assignments view. I can toggle to go see the expenses view as well if I want. If you remember, we set the default to have the table only expanded to strategies, but note that we can expand any of this table down below to see all of the detail, including all of the activities, monitoring activities, tasks, and all of the associated assignments, and in the other table we'll see expenses. I can zoom to full screen here, so I have more space to work, and I can expand the entire table if I want to. You can then directly edit your assignment work units and your expenses in this table. So any of the white cells are editable. So for example, I can add 5 work units to 2028 for Elena Martin for this particular strategy. That rolls up to the top, rolls up across the columns to give you the work plan view total, and then at the bottom you can also see totals. The white views, as I said, are editable. The gray rows, or the white cells, are editable. The gray rows represent roll-up values, so those are not editable because they're rolling up the data at the finer grain levels. The orange values show you that you have data for this assignment or expense in the other view, but it exists on a different time frame. So for example, within fiscal year 2027, Elena Martin has some assignment work units. But if I click on that, I can see that her assignments are now at the quarterly level. You can choose to convert that to this finer, coarser grained planning level, or if you can also go the other direction where you convert yearly data to quarterly or monthly data. I'm not going to convert this because that means I've probably done more detailed work planning for this year and I don't want to erase that work planning. So you can see over on the right, you get information about the progress on these different actions. You can see any classifications that have been associated to these different actions. And if you have funding source information developed in desktop, you can see the funding source information and you can also edit the funding source information. Similarly, you can edit the classifications here in this table. Your work plan views can also be exported to Excel. Click on Export, select Excel or CSV to download a spreadsheet. When you open the work plan view in Excel, the work plan view will have, of course, all of the data for that work plan view, but it will also include all of the formatting, the grouping, and the color coding to help you understand and interpret your data. So if you want more information about these work planning features, check out the Help Center article or the extensive help provided throughout the work planning interface in Miradi Share. And we look forward to your feedback. Happy work planning.